Hi guys, so welcome back. This time we have just you probably haven't watched the introduction to Jupyter Notebook using a Jupyter Notebook. Please check out that video. It's in my channel. But today we are going to be looking at using um, another type of a Jupyter Notebook, but a Jupyter Notebook in the cloud. Now, what's the scenario? Why would I or anyone want to use the Jupyter Notebook in the cloud? Now, there's a lot of things, but for beginners, you typically might have an issue working with, you've installed an Anaconda and there's a problem or some type of issue. So you decide to make use of a Jupyter Notebook in the cloud. And one popular Jupyter Notebook in the cloud is Google Collaboratory. Now, to access Google Collaboratory, which is Google's own way of helping folks use the Jupyter Notebook, but with added provision for compute resources. You have cloud resources, you have memory space from the cloud, which makes it easy for you to work with it. Now, to get to the Jupyter Notebook in the cloud, which is Google Colab, you can do that by typing colab.google. Now you click on this, it's going to take you to the home page. Now at the home page, it's pretty simple and intuitive space. You see the Google Collaboratory, and then you get to see that it's a hosted Jupyter Notebook service. It requires no setup, and it provides free access to compute resources, including GPUs and TPUs, and that's great, right? Now, of course, suited for machine learning, data science, and education. Now, you can look at the site. It has a bunch of things like blogs. You can browse different notebooks. You can check out their changes and stuff. Now, what we want to do is we want to get started with this. Now, what you click on is a new notebook. Now, when you click the new notebook, you're going to see something similar to a Jupyter Notebook. And this was the video we used. You see this in the introduction to using Jupyter Notebook video tutorial. This is what it looks like. Now, there's not really much of a difference, but of course, there's going to be some UI changes. As usual, you see that we have the menu bar here, with similar stuff to this. You can see that we have this. So let me bring this closer so we could just do some form of a comparison. Now, with the Google Collaboratory, you have a bunch of things. Over here, you can choose, you can insert your code cells. You can see that, or you can choose to insert cells where you want to put stuff for documentation. You can move them up if you feel like that's what you want to do. Just like the markdown, right? Then of course it comes with a lot of services. It comes with some AI services. You can get to do some auto completion while you write your code, which helps. Also, you get the opportunity to connect to your Google Drive. So just on the side where you store your files on your Google Drive, and your Google Drive is connected to your Google Collaboratory. But now, if you want to have to access that, you would have to launch or mount it. And so over here, if I click to this, you just give it a little bit, it's just going to pick it up. You can see that. Now, if I want to have access to files in my Google Drive, I'll come over here and I'll click on this and it will mount. So you can see some activity happening, and then of course you have to permit the notebook to access your drive, and then you click connect to your Google Drive, and then it will mount. You see something over here telling you it's mounting, right? Just wait a little bit, it's going to mount, and then you would have access to your drive. You can see I already have access to that. Now over here, you see this has appeared, and you can click a drop down and you can see these are the files in my drive. And so which means I could also store files in my Google Drive, and I can access them here, which is good. The next thing we want to do is we also, for you to get started with it, the instance I clicked that what it did was it connected me to a compute engine. You can see here I have RAM for up to 12 gig of RAM. I have disk space of over 100 GB of space. So really cool stuff. As usual, you typically you double click to enter, and here you can see that you can write your introduction, and just as I did, and I can write my introduction, and you can see that over here, introduction to Python, and then you can also, it shows you how it's going to look over here, and yeah, that's what it is, and you run it, right? You can do shift and enter, and that works, right? And so you would also get to also work with the cells where you write code. Again, I can print here, and look at that. You can also see that with the AI, it gives you a sense of what you typically want to do with it. And you can also see that you can take time out and check things out here. So I could type hello world, and that works. Now, some advantages like you see over here in this space here is that there are services that are already there, right? So you don't typically need setup. So if you want to write your code, you can write your code, and that works. Other things you can do is you can access files. Say you want to check out a notebook, or you want to check out a file that you want to upload, or you want to read a file. You can typically come over here because you have mounted your drive, and you can come over to your drive and search for the file. If it's a data set, you can look for the file over here. You can check through. If you have them stored, the files will be there for you to make use of. Right, so it's typically that easy. And if you find a file, for instance, let's say I have a CSV file over here. Maybe I want to make use of the sales data here. I'll typically just click this and copy the part. And so if you look over here now, I choose to import pandas SPD. Again, the AI, and because it's a service, you get to have it really easy here. You can see. So if I run this, this comes up, and I say, okay, I'll write df. And what I typically want to do is I want to read a data frame. You can see it gives me that. I can complete this and come over here, and then I'll put the file location because I copied the file path. So you see that. And then when I run this, it finds the file inside my drive, and then I get an opportunity to read the file. I could read the first 5 rows, and it works. So these are like a few perks you can get to work with the Google Collaboratory. Sounds fun, right? Now, one interesting thing is you have to be online for this to work. So that's it, because you can typically see it's a service, and you need to be online for that to work. An advantage that the Jupyter Notebook has is that you can be offline and make use of it, right? But this, you have to be online to make use of it. And but sometimes some issues come up, and you typically want to make use of this. Sometimes you have a huge data set to work with, maybe typically 10 gig file you want to work with. This will be an ideal setup to do that. Additionally, you can also rename your file. I didn't talk about that. I can call this intro to Python, and once you save it, once you save the file, you can locate it in your drive, right? Once you save it, it's saved and it's in your drive. So yeah, so this is just typically what like a walkthrough for the Google Collaboratory is like. So take your time and watch this, right? And then you can switch between the Jupyter Notebook on the Anaconda in your laptop machine, or you can go to the cloud.